You are listening to Claimed by Hope, written by D.N. Leo, narrated by Jessica Lee. Nina Torres doesn't do Christmas, or packs, or feelings. After losing her mother, she spent 6 years running, one mountain town to the next. No roots, no attachments. Except for Bun, her dramatic, terrified, 70-pound St. Bernard who's afraid of everything and won't shut up about it. Then she collides with Kian Mercer, billionaire, alpha, and the man whose wolf just declared her mate. One problem: Nina can't feel the bond. Now she's racing against time, chasing a runaway mining cart toward a cliff, and trying very hard not to fall for the alpha who looks at her like she's already his. He wants forever. She doesn't believe in staying. And Bun just wants everyone to acknowledge he's a hero. A complete standalone shifter romance with a heartfelt HEA, a Christmas miracle, and a talking dog who will steal your whole heart. This story is original, written specifically for you. Created for this channel's audience because you asked for romances with billionaire alphas who wear Santa pants without complaint, heroines who can't feel the mate bond, and talking dogs who face their fears while screaming about it. This one's for you. Want your story idea featured next? Drop it in the comments. Your trope, your meet cute, your dream sidekick? I'm listening. Liking, commenting, and subscribing keeps these stories coming. It also helps other shifter romance lovers find their next obsession. So if you know someone who needs a book boyfriend and a dramatic St. Bernard in their life, share the love. This story includes a bonus epilogue. Bun's first official day as director of mountain operations, a tiny rescue, and a new sidekick named Mango. Link in the description and pinned in the first comment. You can find the entire collection at happynovels.com. Now let's begin. Chapter 1. Nina Torres glided along the packed snowpath, her skates carving a steady rhythm against the frozen surface. The canvas bag over her shoulder clinked with each stride, glass ornaments, wooden stars, and her prized silver pine cones, all destined for the resort's main Christmas tree. "This is reckless," Bun announced from beside her. The 6-month-old St. Bernard lumbered along at what could generously be called a stroll. 70 pounds of fluff, anxiety, and judgment. His massive paws left dinner plate prints in the snow. "We're barely moving," Nina said. "Speed is relative." Bun's jowls flapped with each step. "Relative to standing still, this is practically a sprint." "You're walking." "I'm keeping pace," he huffed, his breath forming clouds in the frigid air. "There's a difference, and the point remains. You should have a car, a sensible vehicle, with heating, and doors that lock, and airbags." Nina shifted the bag higher on her shoulder. "I have a car. You have a 20-year-old Subaru that makes a sound like a dying walrus every time you turn the ignition. She's temperamental. She's deceased." Bun's ears flopped as he shook his head. "You need that car serviced, Nina. This is the Alps. People die in the Alps. Frequently. I've read statistics. And I'm between seasons." Nina rounded a bend in the path, the resort's main lodge appearing through the pines below. Strings of Christmas lights twinkled against the late afternoon gray. "Adventure tours don't exactly boom in December, hence," she gestured at herself, "Santa duty." "You're not between seasons," Bun said. "You're in a very specific season, the season where no one with functioning survival instincts wants to climb a mountain. They want to sit by a fire, drink hot chocolate, watch snow from inside a building. Some people like adventure. Some people like jumping out of airplanes. Doesn't make it wise." Bun sniffed the air, his enormous nose twitching. "Everything here is walkable. The lodge, the restaurant, the medical wing, the spa. Why do you need to skate everywhere when you could simply—" The path dropped. Nina's stomach lurched as the packed snow gave way to a steep decline. The service shortcut she'd forgotten led straight down to the staff quarters. "Other route," Bun yelped. "There's another route. Nina, there's a perfectly reasonable—" Too late. Her skates hit the slope and gravity took over. Pine trees blurred past. Wind stung her cheeks. The bag of ornaments rattled against her hip. Behind her, Bun's claws scrabbled uselessly against the ice. "Oh no! Oh no, no, no! Sit down!" Nina shouted over her shoulder. "Don't walk! I can't stop!" Bun's voice pitched up 3 octaves. I'm flying. I'm a projectile. I'm going to crash and die, and they'll find my frozen corpse and put it in a museum. Your ass. Sit down and slide. My dignity, Nina. My dignity. Bun. A whump echoed across the mountain as 70 pounds of St. Bernard dropped onto his haunches. The squealing started immediately. I hate this. Bun's back legs splayed out behind him like furry rudders as he rocketed down the slope. I hate everything about this. I'm going to have frostbite on my buttocks. You're doing great. I am not doing great. I am doing terribly. This is the opposite of great. His ears streamed behind him like panicked flags. I'm still accelerating. Why am I still accelerating? Physics is a liar and gravity is a bully. Nina bit back a laugh. Lean back. I am leaning. I am fully reclined. I am practically horizontal, and I'm still going faster than any reasonable creature should. Oh no. Oh no! Tree! Tree! Nina, there's a... He missed the tree by 3 inches, leaving a tuft of fur on the bark. I saw my life flash before my eyes, Bun wailed. It was mostly kibble and anxiety. Nina, I don't want that to be my legacy. A shadow cut across Nina's path. She registered broad shoulders, dark hair, an expensive coat, and then she was swerving, trying to avoid the figure. But her skates caught an edge, and the world tilted sideways. The stranger dodged Bun's sliding bulk, barely, stumbled backward, and slammed directly into Nina. They went down in an explosion of Christmas decorations. Glass shattered, wooden stars scattered across the snow. A string of silver tinsel wrapped around Nina's ankle. Her canvas bag split open, spilling ornaments in every direction. The silver pine cones, hand-painted her favorites, bounced across the ice and disappeared into a snowdrift. And her mother's charm. Nina's heart seized. The small crystal snowflake, no bigger than her thumbnail, the last thing her mother had given her before. It arced through the air, catching the gray winter light for one brief moment. Then it dropped into a pillow of fresh powder and vanished. Nina shoved off the stranger and scrambled onto all fours, plunging her hands into the snow. No, don't vanish on me. Her fingers scraped against ice, found nothing. Come on! Creative cursing erupted behind her. She glanced back. The stranger was also on his hands and knees, patting the snow with increasing desperation. My phone. He didn't look at her. Call it. Give me your phone. Nina blinked. Pal, why would I give you my phone? He looked up. Handsome. She'd give him that. Dark hair dusted with snow. Gray eyes sharp as flint. Jaw that could cut glass. Cheekbones that probably had their own Instagram following. But that was all she was going to give. Even if I wanted to help, Nina said, which I clearly don't. I don't have a phone on me. A flash of something dangerous crossed his face. You hit me. You were standing in the middle of a staff-only path. You decorated me with your Christmas ornaments. He plucked a wooden star from his collar and held it up like evidence. Knocked my phone into the snow, and now I've lost track of it. Sounds like a personal problem. His jaw tightened. If you had a phone, you could call my number. I could find it, and then we could both pretend this never happened. He paused, which, given how this Christmas is shaping up, would be a gift. Nina sat back on her heels. Are you serious right now? Completely. He resumed digging. I'm waiting for an extremely important delivery, the kind that requires my personal authorization, the kind where... That was a rhetorical question, Nina said. Do I look like I care about your phone, or your delivery, or your schedule, or whatever reason you're lurking around in areas clearly marked staff only, like a tourist? I'm not a tourist. Again. She jabbed a finger at him with each word. I, respectfully, do not care. She turned back to the snow, fingers numb now, searching. A pine cone. A broken ornament. No charm. No charm. Where was... Something hot slid down her cheek. Nina wiped it away fast before anyone could see. Just the cold, just the wind making her eyes water. She kept shoving ornaments back into her torn bag. The silver pine cone was somewhere. The charm was somewhere. Everything was fine. Everything was... A massive head nudged gently against her side. It's all right, Nina. Bun's voice dropped low, soft. the panic gone, replaced with something steady. "I'll find it for you." The stranger scrambled backwards so fast he nearly fell again. "Holy—" He stared at Bun. "What in the world is happening in this resort?" "The dog speaks?" Bun's head swiveled toward the man. His expression could only be described as dismissive. "You know," Bun said, "in Beethoven the dog didn't talk. In Turner and Hooch the dog didn't talk. In Marley and Me, tragedy aside, the dog didn't talk." He sniffed. "Nina and I are the special edition. Director's cut? Premium content." He turned his back on the stranger. "Name's Bun, by the way. Not that you asked." The man's mouth opened, closed, opened again. Bun ignored him completely. "Now." The St. Bernard dropped his enormous nose to the snow and began snuffling in methodical circles. "I'm going to find that pine cone and the charm, because Nina will be very upset if she loses the charm. And I will be very upset if she's upset." His tail swished once. "Because she's my human, and that's how this works." He sniffed left, right, paused, sniffed deeper. Then he plunged his whole snout into a drift and emerged with the silver pine cone and the snowflake charm clamped delicately between his jaws. "Bun!" Nina grabbed his face and planted a kiss on his forehead. "You absolute champion." Bun's tail wagged so hard his entire back end wiggled. "I am a champion. I accept this title. I would like it on a certificate, please." She tucked the pine cone safely into her pocket and stood, brushing snow from her knees. "Wait!" The stranger rose too, brushing off his very expensive, very ruined coat. "The dog, Bun, he can track by scent?" "Obviously," Bun said. "Then he can find my phone." The man reached into his pocket and pulled out a sleek black wallet. "I'll pay, whatever the going rate is for—" "I don't work for you." Bun's nose lifted. "I work with Nina, exclusively. We have a contract." "We don't have a contract," Nina said. "We have an emotional contract," Bun amended, "which is far more binding." He looked at the stranger with something approaching pity. "Besides, I only track items of sentimental value. Phones are replaceable. Love is not." He paused. "Also, you didn't say please, or introduce yourself, or apologize for existing in a staff-only zone. So no. The answer is no. The answer will remain no. The answer is no in perpetuity." Nina bit the inside of her cheek to keep from laughing. "Right." She hoisted her bag. "Good luck with your phone situation." She turned to leave. Behind her, she heard the stranger make a sound of pure frustration, the crunch of his boots as he pivoted sharply. Then a crack. Nina spun. The man stood at the edge of the path, right where the packed snow met a steep drop. Hairline fractures spider-webbed out from beneath his feet. His eyes went wide. The ground gave way. Nina didn't think. She dove, her hand shooting out to grab his wrist just as he slid backward over the edge. The impact jolted through her shoulder. Her fingers locked around his arm. His weight dragged her forward, her knees scraping against the ice as she fought to hold on. Something flew off his wrist. A watch. Heavy, expensive-looking. It tumbled into the snow beside her, and then his eyes blazed. Not metaphorically, not poetically, actually, literally blazed, gray irises flooding with molten gold. His wolf surged to the surface so fast, Nina felt the heat of it roll off him in waves. His mouth opened. "Mate." The word hit her like a physical force. Not a question, not a greeting, a claim, ancient, absolute, undeniable. "Nope." Nina gritted her teeth and held on. "Not doing that. Bun, help!" Bun was already there, massive paws planted, teeth clamped onto the back of Nina's jacket. He pulled backward like a very fluffy, very anxious draft horse. 1 inch, 2. Just enough for the stranger's boots to find a foothold on the crumbling edge. He grabbed a protruding root, hauled himself up, and collapsed onto solid ground. For a moment, they all just breathed. Then the man sat up and his eyes were gray again. Normal. Human. The gold completely gone. He stared at Nina. She stared back. "Not a normal watch, I see." She nodded toward where it had fallen. "Suppressant?" He didn't answer, which was answer enough. "Well," Nina stood, brushing snow off her knees. That was dramatic, but it means nothing, right? Because, she spread her hands, I don't have a wolf for yours to claim. The man's jaw worked. Something flickered behind his eyes, confusion maybe, or something he didn't want to name. Right, he said finally. True. He scooped the watch from the snow and snapped it back onto his wrist. Consider it didn't happen. Already forgotten. He stood, straightened his ruined coat, and walked away without another word. Nina watched him go. You know, Bun said slowly, that's not how mate claims work. Don't care. His wolf recognized you. That's not something you just... No wolf, no claim. Nina picked up her bag. Those are the rules. Those are absolutely not the rules. My rules. She started walking toward the staff quarters. New rules, instituted just now, very official. Bun trotted after her, grumbling. You can't just invent rules about ancient supernatural bonds. Watch me. The staff entrance appeared through the trees, a squat wooden building with steam rising from the vents. Warmth, coffee, sanity. Nina pushed through the door and nearly collided with Peter, one of the resort's maintenance guys, shrugging on his coat. Whoa! He sidestepped her. You look like you got in a fight with a Christmas tree. The tree started it. Nina dumped her bag on a bench. Where are you headed? Town, Peter grinned, practically vibrating with nervous energy. I'm auditioning for the holiday choir tonight. They need a bass. I didn't know you could sing. Neither do they, he winked. Wish me luck. Nina smiled despite herself. Break a leg. That's theater. Break a vocal cord, then. Peter laughed and headed out into the snow. Nina sank onto the bench, pine cone still safe in her pocket. Somewhere out there, a very annoying, very handsome stranger was searching for his phone. Not her problem. She had a Christmas tree to decorate. Chapter 2. The resort's reception area smelled like pine needles and expensive cologne. Kian Mercer stood at the front desk, the old-fashioned corded phone pressed to his ear, and tried not to drip melting snow onto the mahogany counter. He was failing. Let me get this straight. Sam's voice crackled through the line, his beta, his CFO, and the only person alive who could make Kian feel like an idiot with a single sentence. You flew 2,000 miles, loaded a refrigerated truck with medicine. Also, you could personally deliver Christmas presents to 12 sick pups. And then in the last minute, you can't drive the gift up the mountain yourself? That's correct, Kian said. Because of the weight and road safety, it has to be delivered by professionals. So you're telling me you orchestrated this entire logistical nightmare and you don't even get to do the fun part? The fun part is the pups receiving the medicine, Sam. The fun part is driving a truck up a mountain like you're in a car commercial. Don't lie to me. Kian pinched the bridge of his nose. You could have just shipped it, like a normal person, Kian. Shipping is impersonal. Shipping is efficient. Sam sighed, with the weariness of a man who had been managing Kian's chaos for 6 years. You know the company does a Christmas gala every year, right? Catering, open bar, tax write-off. Everyone pretends to like each other for 3 hours and then goes home. The system works. This is different. You keep saying that. How is it different? Kian watched a family walk through the lobby. 2 parents, 3 kids, all bundled in matching red scarves. The youngest clutched a stuffed reindeer like it was the most precious thing in the world. Because those pups don't need a gala, he said. They need to know someone gives a damn, that they're not just a line item on a clinical trial spreadsheet. Silence on the other end. Then, you're going soft, boss. I'm going to fire you, Sam. You've been saying that for 6 years. At this point, it's our love language. Sam's tone shifted, curiosity creeping in. Fine. You've intrigued me. I'm coming up there. You don't have to. I want to see this disaster in person. Besides, someone needs to document the moment Kian Mercer, alpha of the Mercer Pack, pharmaceutical heir, certified workaholic, shows up to a children's event looking like he fought a snowman and lost. I don't look. Kian glanced at his reflection in the polished counter. Snow in his hair, coat stained, tinsel stuck to his shoulder. I look fine. I can hear the lie in your voice. I'll be there in an hour. Need anything? A phone. Kian picked the tinsel off his shoulder and flicked it away. Mine is buried somewhere on this mountain. Long story. I'll bring 2. Knowing you'll lose the backup before dinner. Keys clicked in the background, Sam pulling up data. Hey, quick question. What? Your suppressant watch. I'm looking at the biometric feed. Another click. There's a spike, a big one, about 20 minutes ago. The kind of spike that makes the medical team send me concerned emails. Kian's jaw tightened. What happened? Sam asked. Nothing. That's not a nothing spike, Kian. That's a your wolf tried to claw its way out of your chest and file a formal complaint spike. Did you get attacked? Threatened? Did someone try to... I got hit by an angry woman on ice skates. Kian kept his voice flat. She had a massive dog. There was a minor altercation. It's handled. Handled how? I walked away. You walked away. Sam's voice went dangerously flat. From a woman who made your wolf spike like that. Sam, I'm just saying, the last time your readings looked like this was when 1 hour. Kian hung up. He stood there for a moment, hand still on the receiver. The suppressant watch was back on his wrist, the cool metal pressing against his pulse, keeping his wolf contained, keeping everything contained. Mate. His wolf had said the word like it was obvious, like it was inevitable, like the small, furious woman with snow in her hair and tears on her cheeks was the answer to a question Kian hadn't known he was asking. But she didn't have a wolf. No wolf, no bond. That was how it worked. That was how it had to work. Kian straightened his coat, nodded to the receptionist, and walked toward the private wing. He had a delivery to oversee. Everything else was irrelevant. The Christmas tree looked like it had been attacked by a tinsel factory. Nina stepped back, hands on her hips, and surveyed her work. Strings of silver garland looped around the branches. Glass ornaments caught the firelight. Wooden stars hung at carefully measured intervals. And at the very top, a crystal snowflake, not her mother's, but close enough to make her chest ache. It's crooked, Bun said. It's not crooked. The angel on the 3rd branch is definitely listing to the left. He tilted his massive head. She looks drunk, festively drunk, but still, like she pre-gamed the nativity. Nina adjusted the angel. Better? Now she looks startled, like she just woke up at a party and doesn't know anyone. He squinted. Actually, that might be more relatable. Leave it. Bun. I'm helping. This is what helping looks like. You're welcome. The lodge's main hall stretched around them. Vaulted ceilings, crackling fireplaces, the smell of cinnamon and wood smoke curling through the air. Guests milled about in cashmere sweaters and après-ski boots, sipping drinks that probably cost more than Nina's weekly grocery budget. She'd been decorating for 3 hours. 3 hours of untangling lights, 3 hours of climbing ladders, 3 hours of trying not to think about gray eyes flooding gold, and a voice that had wrapped around her bones and called her, "Nope. Not thinking about it." "You're thinking about it," Bun said. "I'm thinking about dinner. You're thinking about the handsome stranger whose wolf claimed you as his eternal destined mate in a moment of supernatural recognition that transcends human understanding and also ruined your favorite skating route. I'm thinking about pasta. Nina. Carbonara, specifically, with extra parmesan." Bun sighed, his whole body deflating like a furry balloon. "You know, in Twilight, when Edward first... We are not comparing my life to Twilight. I'm just saying Bella didn't ignore the obvious supernatural connection. She leaned in, she asked questions, she investigated the mystery. She also nearly got killed 17 times and gave birth to a demon baby that her ex-boyfriend imprinted on." Nina raised an eyebrow. "Is that where you're going with this?" "The books were better than the movies." "That's not a defense, Bun." "What about The Notebook?" He perked up. Ryan Gosling was very persistent, built her a whole house. It worked out. He wrote letters. He didn't have his wolf literally try to soul bond with a stranger in a staff-only zone. Shrek? Bun. Fiona was also in denial about her true nature, and she ended up living happily in a swamp with a talking donkey. He paused meaningfully. "I could be the talking donkey, Nina. I have range. The lesson is that I'm going to lock you in a closet." "A closet sounds cozy, actually. Quiet. No ice, no sliding, no near-death experiences. 4 walls. Very safe. I could live there." "Nina!" She turned. Landon Cross, the resort manager, strode across the hall with the energy of a man who'd had 4 espressos and was considering a 5th. His silver hair was immaculate, his sweater probably cost more than her car, and his smile had the desperate edge of someone holding together a very expensive event through sheer force of caffeine. The tree. He pressed his hands together like he was praying to it. "It's magnificent." "Thanks," Nina said. "The angel's a little perfect." "Absolutely perfect. Don't touch it. Don't change it. It's art." Landon circled the tree, nodding rapidly. "This year's gala is going to be special. Very special. We have donors flying in from Geneva, a charity auction, a live orchestra, and—" he lowered his voice conspiratorially, "a very important pharmaceutical family sponsoring the whole event, the Mercers." Nina's stomach did something complicated. "So everything needs to be right." Landon squeezed her shoulder. "Thank you for helping with the decorations, and for agreeing to be part of the entertainment." "The entertainment?" "The elf costume," he beamed, "for the children's photo station. You're going to be wonderful." Bun made a sound that might have been a cough and might have been suppressed hysteria. Nina shot him a look. "What?" Bun's eyes went wide and innocent. "I didn't say anything, not a word. I am a vault of silence." "You were thinking it." "I was thinking that typecasting is a real issue in the entertainment industry." He sat down, tail curling around his massive paws. "But also that you playing an elf is very organic, very method, very you. Natural. You won't even have to act." His tongue lolled out. "You've already got the height. The ears. My ears are normal. The pointy attitude. The I live in a tree and judge people energy." "Finish that sentence," Nina said sweetly, "and I will strap you to the back of a snowmobile and find the steepest slope on this mountain." Bun's mouth snapped shut. "I'll go full fast and furious," Nina continued. "Vin Diesel style. You'll be the hood ornament, wind in your fur, tears in your eyes, terror in your heart." "That's animal cruelty. That's motivation. I was being supportive. You were being a gremlin." "Gremlins are misunderstood. They just wanted to swim after midnight and enjoy a light snack." "Very relatable, actually. I too enjoy midnight snacks. I don't see why—" Landon's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and his face collapsed like a souffle in an earthquake. "Oh no," he murmured. "What?" Nina asked. "It's Peter." Landon looked up, stricken. "He was auditioning for the choir in town. There was an accident on the ice. Landon swallowed. "He broke his leg." Nina's hand flew to her mouth. "Is he okay?" "He's at the clinic. He'll be fine, but—" Landon's voice cracked like thin ice. "He was supposed to be Santa, for the gala, for the pups." The weight of his stare landed on Nina like a grand piano falling from a great height. "Oh no," she said. "Nina, no. You're the only one available. I'm 5'2", Landon. I'm built like a garden gnome. Santa is supposed to be—" She gestured vaguely. "Jolly, rotund, grandfather-shaped, like a friendly refrigerator with a beard. You can stuff the suit. I'll look like a tomato with legs. You'll look festive. I'll look like I'm being slowly digested by a velvet blob, like the blob is winning." Bun leaned toward her. In the Santa Claus, Tim Allen also had doubts about his suitability for the role, not helping. But he grew into it, literally. There was weight gain involved. Very committed performance. Oscar-worthy, some would say. "No one says that." "I say that. I'm some." Landon grabbed both her hands. His eyes were wet, actual tears, glistening, from a grown man in a cashmere sweater that cost more than Nina's monthly rent. "Nina," he said, "those pups, they're sick, really sick. They need magic. They need hope. And right now—" his voice trembled. "Hope is a 5'2" woman in a Santa suit." Bun sniffled loudly. "That's beautiful. That's poetry. Someone write that down." "That's manipulation," Nina said. "Effective manipulation," Bun corrected. "Like in Love Actually when the kid runs through the airport. You know you're being played, but you cry anyway. This is that. This is your airport moment, Nina." "Fine." Nina pulled her hands free. "Fine. I'll do it." Landon made a sound that was half sob, half laugh, half something that probably shouldn't come out of a human being. "Thank you. Thank you, thank you." But if anyone makes a short joke, I'm quitting. Absolutely. No short jokes. Zero tolerance policy. I'll have them escorted off the mountain. And Bun gets extra treats. Done. The good ones. The salmon ones he likes. Not the discount ones that smell like regret. I'll order a case. 2 cases. A lifetime supply. Bun's tail thumped against the floor. I'm going to be insufferable about this. You're already insufferable, Nina said. Yes, but now I'll be insufferable and well-fed. He stood, shaking his fur like he was walking a red carpet. This is called growth, character development, very important for the second act. Landon was already backing away, phone pressed to his ear, coordinating something involving costume alterations and emergency tailoring and possibly a small miracle. Nina stood alone in front of her crooked Christmas tree. Ho, 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 she muttered. Bun looked up at her. That was very convincing. Really captured the Santa energy. Very jolly. Very authentic. Shut up. The Grinch also had a journey from reluctance to holiday spirit. His heart grew 3 sizes. Very inspirational. Very... Nina grabbed a handful of tinsel and threw it at him. He caught it in his mouth and stood there, silver strands dangling from his jowls like a very festive beard, looking deeply proud of himself. Festive, he said, muffled. I'm festive now. I'm the Christmas content. Nina dropped onto the nearest couch and stared at the ceiling. This was going to be a disaster. Chapter 3. Sam arrived looking like he'd stepped out of a catalog for people who had their lives together. Kian hated him immediately. You look like you lost a fight with a Yeti. Sam thrust a garment bag and a phone into Kian's hands. Shower's that way. You have 15 minutes before the first guests arrive. I don't need 15 minutes. You need a priest and an exorcism, but we're working with what we have. Sam steered him toward the executive suite the resort had comped for the Mercer family. Also, your hair is doing something concerning, like it's trying to escape your head. Kian caught his reflection in a hallway mirror. Snow-matted, wild-eyed, a streak of tinsel still clinging to his collar like a festive parasite. He looked unhinged. 15 minutes, he said. 14 now. Clock's ticking, boss. 12 minutes later, Kian emerged in a fresh charcoal suit, hair tamed, dignity nominally restored. Sam was waiting in the lobby, scrolling through his tablet with the focused intensity of a man watching numbers do things he didn't like. We have a situation, Sam said. We have several situations. This one's good, possibly, depending on your definition of good. Sam turned the tablet toward him. The open invitation went out to the regional PACs. Standard protocol. We expected maybe 50 attendees. And we're at 200 confirmations. And climbing. Sam's eye twitched. Alphas from 6 territories. Council representatives. The Thornwood Foundation Board. 3 journalists, why are there journalists at a children's charity event? Kian stared at the scrolling list of names. His chest tightened. This is good, he said slowly. Is it? Because I'm having heart palpitations. We need support for the next phase. The treatment works, but scaling it requires resources we don't have. Kian watched another RSVP ping onto the list. Every alpha in that room is a potential ally. Every pack leader who sees those pups receive the medicine becomes emotionally invested in funding the expansion. Sam nodded, catching up. Okay, that's actually smart. Manipulative, but smart. It's not manipulative. It's strategic visibility. Those are the same thing. You just used fancier words. Sam tucked the tablet under his arm. Speaking of things you're avoiding, don't. The woman, the angry little one with the giant dog. I said don't. Your biometrics are still elevated. Not spiking, but elevated. Like your wolf is. Humming. Sam's grin turned sharp. What exactly happened on that mountain? Nothing. Nothing doesn't make your wolf hum, Kian. She hit me with Christmas ornaments. We argued. I left. Kian checked his watch. The suppressant reading steady, thank God. That's the entire story. Mm-hmm. Sam drew the sound out like he was savoring it. And the dog? What about the dog? You mentioned a massive dog. Seemed relevant to you. I'm curious why. Kian's jaw tightened. The dog is irrelevant. The dog is clearly not irrelevant, or you wouldn't have mentioned it twice. Sam, I'm just asking questions, gathering data. It's my job. Kian's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen. An unknown number, but the prefix was the delivery company's. "Hold that thought," he answered. "This is Mercer." Static. Then a voice, young and nervous. "Mr. Mercer, this is dispatch. We've been trying to reach your team. The truck, it was supposed to check in 40 minutes ago. It's not responding." Kian's blood went cold. "What do you mean, not responding?" "GPS shows it stopped at the base of the mountain access road. Hasn't moved since. We can't raise the drivers on radio." The lobby noise faded to a dull roar. Guests streaming in, laughter, Christmas music. None of it mattered. "We're on our way," Kian said, and hung up. Sam read his face. "What?" The truck stopped. No contact with the drivers. Sam's tablet clattered onto a side table. "My car. Now." The access road wound through dense pines, the last of the daylight bleeding orange through the branches. Sam drove like the devil was chasing them, which, given Kian's expression, wasn't far from the truth. The truck came into view around a sharp bend. Abandoned, doors hanging open, refrigeration unit still humming, but the cargo bay empty. Kian was out of the car before Sam fully stopped. His boots crunched through fresh snow as he rounded the truck, scanning for threats, for clues, for anything. "Here!" Sam's voice, sharp. Behind the truck, half hidden in a snowdrift, two men in delivery uniforms sat propped against a tree, bound at the wrists, duct tape over their mouths. Kian ripped the tape off the first one. "What happened?" he demanded. The driver coughed, shivering. "Wolves, 6 of them. They came out of nowhere, blocked the road, forced us to stop." "Rogues?" "Organized rogues. Military precision." The driver's eyes were wild. They knew exactly what they were doing, knew exactly what was in the truck. Kian's claws extended before he could stop them. "Where did they go?" The second driver, tape removed by Sam, pointed a trembling finger toward the mountain. "Up. There's only a few routes from here. The main trail, the eastern ridge, or the old mining path. They took the cargo on sleds, moving fast." Kian stared up the slope. Snow was falling now, soft and relentless, already beginning to cover the tracks. "How long?" he asked. 30, maybe 40 minutes. Enough time to disappear, enough time for the trail to go cold. He pulled out his phone and called resort security, gave clipped instructions, arranged for the drivers to be collected, warmed, questioned properly. Then he stood in the falling snow and tried not to feel the weight of 200 expectant guests waiting at the resort, 12 sick pups waiting for medicine, an entire operation crumbling because someone wanted to watch him fail. "Kian," Sam's voice was careful, "we need to get back." "I know. The guests, I know. If we're not there when the council representatives arrive," I said I know. Kian turned, snow catching in his hair. "I need a tracker. We can call in the resort search team. The trail will be cold by then. I need someone who can pick up a scent in deep snow, someone good enough to find a needle in a frozen haystack." He paused. "I need the dog." Sam blinked. "The dog, the irrelevant dog you definitely don't care about." "His name is Bun." "I'm sorry?" "The dog. His name is Bun." Kian walked toward the car, each step heavy, "and he won't work for anyone except the angry little woman who hit me with ornaments." Sam was silent for exactly 3 seconds. Then he started laughing. "Don't," Kian warned. "Bun," Sam wheezed. "The dog's name is Bun, and he only works for... what's her name?" "The woman? Nina." "Nina?" Sam drew the name out like it was made of chocolate. "And how do you know that exactly?" "I thought nothing happened." "She mentioned it. During the nothing that happened." "Sam, I'm just putting pieces together. You got hit with ornaments. You met a dog named Bun. You learned a woman's name. Your wolf is humming." Sam slid into the driver's seat, grinning like Christmas had come early. "This is the best day of my life." "Drive," Kian said through gritted teeth. "Now." The resort was chaos when they returned. Guests flooded the lobby in evening wear, gowns, suits, pack regalia from half a dozen territories. Servers wove through the crowd with champagne. A string quartet played something classical near the massive fireplace. And everywhere Kian looked, influential faces. Alpha Constantine from the Northern Ridge, Councilwoman Vance from the Thornwood Foundation, the Ashford twins, whose pack controlled half the shipping lanes on the eastern seaboard. All of them here, all of them expecting a triumphant announcement, all of them about to witness a spectacular failure. I'll handle the guests. Sam straightened his tie, game face sliding into place. Buy you as much time as I can. Go find your dog. He's not my dog. Go find Nina's dog. Sam's grin flickered. And Kian? Whatever you have to do to get that woman's help, do it. Grovel if you have to. I don't grovel. Learn. Sam clapped him on the shoulder and waded into the crowd, his voice booming with manufactured warmth. Alpha Constantine! What an honor! Kian slipped toward the staff corridor. He found the resort manager, Landon, according to his name tag, coordinating something involving napkin arrangements with the intensity of a general planning an invasion. Mr. Mercer. Landon straightened, practically vibrating with nervous energy. Is everything... Can I help with... Nina, she has a really big dog. Where is she? Nina? Landon blinked. She's in the gala room, preparing the stage for the children's presentation. Is there a problem? No problem. Kian was already moving. Which way? Down the hall, through the double doors, but... Mr. Mercer, the event starts in 40 minutes. Kian didn't hear the rest. The gala room was a winter wonderland. Fake snow drifted from hidden machines in the ceiling. Paper snowflakes hung at varying heights, catching the light. A small stage had been set up at the far end, framed by more Christmas trees, more lights, more painstaking detail than Kian had expected from a children's photo op. And in the middle of it all, standing on a stepladder that barely brought her to average height, was Nina. She was adjusting a string of lights, her dark hair escaping from a messy bun, a smudge of glitter on her cheek. The oversized Santa suit hung nearby on a rack, looking like it was waiting to consume her. And at her feet, sprawled across the stage like a furry red carpet, was Bun. Higher on the left, Bun said. No, your other left. That's still the same left. Nina, do you know your lefts? Do you know how to be quiet? Nina stretched, fingertips barely reaching the hook. In Home Alone, Kevin McAllister had a very clear sense of spatial awareness, Bun said. That's why he successfully defended his home against 2 adult burglars. Spatial awareness, Nina. It's foundational. Kevin McAllister was also 8 and had access to blowtorches. Excuses. Kian stopped at the edge of the stage. He watched her work, the careful way she looped the lights, tested the connection, adjusted the angle, the furrow between her brows, the quiet competence of someone who cared about getting things right, even when no one was watching. Good things come in small packages. The phrase drifted through his mind unbidden. He'd always thought it was patronizing, dismissive. Now, watching this 5'2" woman command a room and a St. Bernard with equal authority, he understood it differently. She was a force, compact, concentrated, devastating. Mate, his wolf murmured. Shut up, Kian told it. He stepped forward. Miss Torres? Nina's head snapped toward him, her eyes narrowed. You, she said. Me. Bun's head lifted from his paws. His expression could only be described as deeply unimpressed. The phone man, Bun said flatly. The one who wanted me to be his personal Bluetooth accessory. I remember you. My grudge is long, and my memory is longer. I owe you an apology, Kian said. Both Nina and Bun stared at him. I'm sorry, he continued, the words scraping like gravel. I was rude, dismissive. I treated you, both of you, as inconveniences rather than individuals. That was wrong. Silence. Nina climbed down from the ladder. She crossed her arms over her chest and looked up at him, way up, given the height difference. Is that it? She asked. No. Kian took a breath. I need your help. Specifically, I need Bun's help, and I understand he doesn't work for anyone except you. Correct, Bun said. I have standards, unlike some people who just demand services from strangers without basic courtesy. I'm trying to offer courtesy now. The courtesy ship has sailed. It sailed, hit an iceberg, and sank. Very Titanic. Very tragic. There were no survivors. Nina's lips twitched. What kind of help? Kian hesitated. Around them, the fake snow continued to fall. The paper snowflakes twisted slowly in the heated air. Somewhere distant, the string quartet played on. "I sponsor this gala," he said. "The Mercer Foundation. We run the medical shelter attached to this resort, the one that houses 12 pups with hollow moon syndrome." Nina's expression shifted. Something flickered behind her eyes. "I know the shelter," she said quietly. "I've done supply runs for them, helped with the pups' outdoor therapy sessions." "Then you know what they're facing. Degenerative, terminal, no cure." Nina's voice was steady, but her hands had tightened at her sides. "Yeah, I know. There is a cure now. My company developed it. Experimental but effective. We've seen it work." Kian stepped closer. "Tonight was supposed to be the night those pups received their first doses. Christmas presents, wrapped and ready, a chance at a real future." "Was supposed to be?" "The medicine was stolen 40 minutes ago. A group of rogue wolves hijacked the delivery truck and disappeared up the mountain." Nina's mouth fell open. Bun sat up sharply. "Stolen? The pup's medicine was stolen?" "Everything, the entire shipment." Kian's jaw tightened. "I have 200 guests in that ballroom, including pack leaders and council representatives who could fund the next phase of treatment development. If I can't recover that medicine, if those pups don't get their doses tonight, they'll think you failed them," Nina finished. He shook his head. "The pups are innocent. They won't be disappointed because they don't know anything yet. But the guests will be. The investors, the pack leaders who came to see the first 12 receive treatment." He paused. "And after them, hundreds more pups on the waiting list who won't get funded." "You're trying to change things," Nina said slowly. "Not just for these 12. I have a company to run. If I can make it profitable and help people at the same time, that's the direction I want to go." He met her eyes. "I'm not a saint. I'm just someone who saw a problem and had the resources to do something about it." The gala room was very quiet. Bun looked at Nina. Nina looked at Bun. Something passed between them, a silent conversation Kian couldn't read. Then Nina sighed. "The snow's still falling," she said. "Tracks will be covered soon." "I know. And the gala starts in 40 minutes. "I know. I can't just abandon the stage setup. The pups are expecting a show. They're expecting Santa." She gestured at the oversized suit. "Which apparently is now me. I'll help." The words came out before Kian could stop them. "Whatever you need, lights, decorations, stage management, I'll do it. Just give me Bun for an hour." Bun made a choked sound. "Did you just offer to do manual labor?" "Yes." "You, the pharmaceutical billionaire, in that suit, hanging Christmas lights. If that's what it takes." Nina studied him. Her gaze was sharp, assessing, the look of someone who'd learned not to trust easy promises. "We can't retrieve the medicine before the gala," she said finally. "There's not enough time." "I know, but if Bun can pick up the trail now, find out which route they took, we'll know where to search later. After the gala, after the pups have their show." He spread his hands. "We tell them the presents are for Boxing Day. They wait one more night." Nina nodded slowly. "We just have to make sure the presents are actually inside the boxes by Boxing Day." "Exactly." Then she looked at Bun. "What do you think?" she asked. Bun's massive brow furrowed. His jowls trembled with the weight of moral deliberation. "In Legally Blonde," he said slowly, "Elle Woods proved that you can be underestimated and still save the day. She did it with determination, a good support network, and excellent hair." "Is that a yes?" "It's a conditional yes." Bun turned his giant head toward Kian. "I have demands." Kian blinked. "Name them." 3 salmon treats, the expensive kind, Norwegian. Done. A formal written apology for the Bluetooth accessory implication. "I'll have my assistant draft it tonight. And," Bun paused for dramatic effect, "you admit, out loud, right now, that I am the most talented tracker on this mountain and that my skills are invaluable and irreplaceable." Kian looked at Nina. She shrugged. He looked back at Bun. "You," he said carefully, "are the most talented tracker on this mountain. Your skills are invaluable and irreplaceable." Bun's tail wagged once, just once. Adequate. He heaved himself to his feet, all 70 pounds of anxious, dramatic fluff. "Let's go find your medicine, but I want it on record that I'm doing this for the pups, not for you." "Noted. And if there's any sliding involved, I'm billing you for emotional damages." "Also noted." Nina was already grabbing her jacket from the back of a chair. 15 minutes, she said to Kian. "We scout the trailhead, Bun picks up the scent, we figure out which route they took, then we come back and finish setting up." "And the gala?" "Happens on schedule. Those pups get their Santa, their show, their Christmas magic." She zipped her jacket with sharp efficiency. "Then, after everyone's asleep and happy, we go get their medicine back." Kian nodded. "Agreed." Nina paused at the door. Something almost like a smile flickered across her face. "Now it's my turn to name conditions." "Of course, anything." "You have to wear the Santa pants." Kian went very still. "I beg your pardon?" She walked over and pulled the Santa costume off the rack, holding it up against him. The velvet jacket hit him mid-chest. The pants would barely reach his calves. "This was made for Peter. He's 6 feet tall. You're—" She looked him up and down. "What, 6'4"? 6'6". "Right. So it's too short for you, and it's a tent on me." She shook the costume. "But between the two of us, we have one complete Santa." "You want me to wear the pants. I'll wear the jacket. It'll hang down to my knees like a dress. Very Mrs. Claus." She grinned. "Very festive. There are 200 influential pack leaders in that ballroom, council representatives, journalists, and 12 sick pups who deserve a good Christmas show." Nina tilted her head. "You said you'd do whatever it takes." "I meant hanging lights, not—" He gestured at the red velvet monstrosity. "Public humiliation. It's not humiliation. It's commitment to the role." Her grin widened. "Think of it as strategic visibility." Bun's tail was wagging now, full speed. "This is the best negotiation I've ever witnessed. Better than Shark Tank, better than The Apprentice. This is art." Kian pinched the bridge of his nose. 200 guests, 6 territorial alphas, the Thornwood Foundation board, and him in Santa pants that would hit mid-shin. "Fine," he said through gritted teeth. "Was that a yes?" "We have an agreement." Nina's smile turned victorious. She tossed the pants at his chest. "Pleasure doing business with you, Mr. Mercer." Chapter 4. The trailhead looked like a postcard designed by someone who wanted to kill hikers. Snow blanketed everything in deceptive softness. Pine trees stretched toward a sky the color of old pewter. 3 paths diverged into the white, the main trail, the eastern ridge, and the old mining path, each one disappearing into the gloom like they were actively trying to hide something. "Well," Bun said, his breath forming clouds in the frigid air, "this is ominous." Nina pulled her jacket tighter. "Can you pick up a scent?" "I can pick up 17 scents. Deer, fox. Something that might be a marmot with digestive issues. The cologne of at least 3 different wolves, all of whom have questionable taste." Bun's nose twitched furiously. "The problem is finding the right scent." "The medicine," Kian said. "It has a distinct chemical signature, stabilizing compounds, refrigerant residue." Bun turned his massive head toward Kian. "You want me to smell for refrigerant residue?" "Can you?" "Of course I can. I'm a professional." Bun sniffed. "I'm just offended you doubted me." He dropped his nose to the snow and began working in methodical circles, his enormous paws leaving craters in the powder. Nina watched him move, sniff, step, with the focused intensity of a surgeon. Kian stood beside her, arms crossed, watching the 3 trails. "The eastern ridge is the fastest route," he said quietly, "but it's exposed. Anyone up there would be visible for miles. The mining path is slower, but it has cover." Nina chewed her lip. "If I were smuggling stolen medicine, that's where I'd go." "Agreed." They stood in silence for a moment. The wind picked up, carrying snowflakes that stung Nina's cheeks. "You know these mountains," Kian said. It wasn't a question. "Better than most." "How long have you been doing search and rescue?" 4 years. Started as a volunteer after—" She stopped, swallowed. "After I moved here." Kian glanced at her. Something flickered in his gray eyes. Curiosity, maybe. Or recognition? Running from something? He asked. Running to something. Nina kept her gaze on Bun. There's a difference. Is there? Yeah, one means you're scared, the other means you're looking for something you lost. She shrugged. Or something you never had. The wind filled the silence between them. Got it! Bun's voice exploded across the trailhead. Chemical signature, refrigerant, faint traces of... Is that peppermint? Did someone wrap the medicine in candy canes? That's adorable, but also very confusing for my nose. Which trail? Nina was already moving toward him. Mining path. Definitely the mining path. Bun's tail wagged with professional pride. The scent is maybe 45 minutes old. They're moving fast, but they're not covering their tracks. Amateurs. Very organized amateurs, but still. Kian marked the trailhead on his phone. GPS coordinates, photos, everything they'd need for the real pursuit later. Can you tell how many? 6, like the driver said. All male. All wolf. One of them stepped in something unfortunate about a mile back. I can smell that too, but I'm choosing not to elaborate because I have class. Nina bit back a laugh. Okay, we have our direction. Let's mark the first quarter mile and then head back. They moved single file up the mining path, Nina leading, Bun in the middle, Kian bringing up the rear. The trail was narrow, barely wide enough for one person, with a steep drop to the left that disappeared into shadow. Bun narrated the entire journey. The scent is getting stronger. They stopped here, probably to redistribute weight. Someone dropped something, possibly a glove. Very careless. In The Fugitive, Tommy Lee Jones would never have made such elementary mistakes. Bun, Nina said, focus. I am focused. I am extremely focused. I'm also providing context. Context is important. It builds narrative tension. We're not in a movie. Everything is a movie if you narrate it properly. Bun sniffed deeply. They went left here, into the deeper snow. There's a... He stopped. Bun? The St. Bernard's entire body went rigid. His nose was buried in a snowdrift, his massive hindquarters sticking up like a furry monument to enthusiasm. There's something here, he said, muffled. Something important. The scent is concentrated. They definitely stopped, maybe cached something. Let me just... He dug. Powder flew everywhere. His front paws churned through the snow like furry excavators, going deeper and deeper, and the ground gave way. One moment Bun was digging. The next, he was sliding, a 70-pound avalanche of panic and flailing limbs, disappearing over the edge of the path into the darkness below. Bun! Nina lunged forward, her hand catching his collar just as he went over. The force nearly pulled her off her feet. Her boots skidded on the ice. Bun's weight dragged her toward the edge, and she could feel her grip slipping, her fingers going numb. A hand clamped around her waist. Kian. He braced himself against a tree trunk, one arm locked around Nina, the other reaching past her to grab Bun's harness. I've got you, he said, his voice strained. Pull! They pulled. Bun's claws scrabbled against the ice. His eyes were wild, white-rimmed, and the sounds coming out of him were less dog and more existential crisis-given voice. I'm going to die, Bun wailed. I'm going to die, and my last words were about refrigerant, and that's not the legacy I wanted. You're not dying. Nina gritted her teeth. Kian, on 3, I saw my life flash before my eyes again. It was still mostly kibble. I need to live a richer life. 1, I never told you I love you, Nina. I mean, I assumed you knew, but what if you didn't? 2, tell the Norwegian salmon I'm sorry I never got to eat them. 3, they heaved. Bun came up and over the edge in an explosion of snow and terror. He scrambled onto solid ground, paws churning, and then launched himself directly at Nina. 70 pounds of traumatized St. Bernard hit her like a furry cannonball. Nina went down. Hard. Bun landed on top of her, his massive body covering her completely, his head burrowed into her neck. I'm okay, he whimpered. I'm okay. Everything is fine. I just need to lie here for a moment. Possibly forever. This is nice. You're warm. I'm never moving again. Bun. Nina's voice was muffled. I can't breathe. Breathing is overrated. What has breathing ever done for anyone? She really can't breathe. Kian's voice came from somewhere above them. You're crushing her. I'm not crushing. I'm embracing. There's a difference. 2 hands hooked under Bun's chest and lifted. Nina gasped as the weight disappeared. She sucked in air, her ribs aching, and looked up to see Kian physically extracting the St. Bernard from her body. He set Bun down on solid ground, well away from any edges, and knelt beside him. The billionaire pharmaceutical heir, in his expensive coat and leather gloves, gently cupping a dog's face. "You're safe," Kian said. His voice was calm, steady, the voice of someone who knew how to handle panic. "You're on solid ground. Nothing is moving. You're okay." Bun's trembling slowed. "I fell," he said weakly. "You did, and then you got pulled back up. I could have died, but you didn't. My legacy was almost kibble and refrigerant, Kian." "Refrigerant? We'll work on your legacy later." Kian scratched behind Bun's ears. "Right now I need you to breathe. Can you do that?" Bun took a shaky breath, then another. His tail gave one uncertain wag. "In Homeward Bound," he said, his voice still wobbly. "Shadow fell into a pit, and everyone thought he was dead. But he came back. He came back because he loved his family." "You came back too," Kian said. "I did." Bun's tail wagged again, stronger this time. "I came back. I'm basically Shadow, except more handsome, and with better dialogue." Nina sat up, still catching her breath. Her ribs would be bruised tomorrow. Worth it. She watched Kian comfort her dog, this man who'd been demanding and dismissive and entitled just hours ago, and something shifted in her chest. He caught her looking. "What?" he asked. "Nothing." She stood, brushing snow from her jacket. "We should mark this spot and head back." Kian nodded. He pulled out his phone, took photos of the location where Bun had found the concentrated scent, marked the GPS. Professional, efficient. But when Bun wobbled slightly, Kian's hand went to the dog's back, steadying him, making sure he was okay. Nina noticed that too. They started back down the trail, moving faster now. The gala was in 20 minutes. They had their intel. Everything was going according to plan. Then they rounded the corner and found the tree. It lay across the path like a fallen giant, massive trunk, branches splayed in every direction, completely blocking any passage. Fresh break, recent fall. "That wasn't there before," Nina said. "No." Kian's voice had gone flat. "It wasn't." They both looked up the slope. The snow was disturbed. Tracks led away from the base of the tree, boot prints, too deliberate to be accidental. Someone had pushed it. Someone was watching them. "We need another route," Nina said. "Now." "The drop-off we pulled Bun from. Too steep. We'd need ropes." "The main trail. Adds 40 minutes. We don't have 40 minutes." Bun, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, lifted his nose. "There's another way," he said. They both turned to look at him. "About 50 meters back, there's a cut-through, steep, icy. It drops down to the service road near the resort." Bun swallowed visibly. "It's fast." Nina's stomach dropped. "Bun, you don't have to." "I know." His voice was small but steady. "But those pups need their Santa. And their medicine. And I—" He drew himself up to his full height, which was considerable even when traumatized. "Am a professional. You just fell off a cliff." "I fell off a small cliff. This is completely different. This is a controlled descent." He paused. "I learned that phrase from a skiing documentary. It sounded very official." Nina looked at Kian. Kian looked at Nina. "We don't have another option," he said quietly. "I know." She turned to Bun. "Lead the way, champ." The cut-through was exactly as terrifying as Bun had promised. A narrow channel of packed ice, carved by snowmelt and frozen solid, dropped at a 45-degree angle toward the service road below. Trees flashed past on either side. The only way down was fast, very fast. "On our butts," Nina said. "Same as before. Arms up for balance. Dig your heels in if you need to slow down." "I know the theory," Bun said. "The theory is not the problem. The problem is that my buttocks still have emotional damage from the last time." "Bun, going." He sat. He pushed off. And then he was sliding, a furry bullet shooting down the ice channel, his wail echoing off the trees. Controlled descent, controlled descent. This does not feel controlled. Nina went next. The ice grabbed her immediately. She shot forward, the world blurring, wind stinging her eyes. She could hear Bun's screaming below her, and Kian's controlled breathing above her, and all she could do was keep her weight centered and pray. A rock. She saw it a half second before she hit it, a dark lump in the ice, just enough to catch her boot and send her spinning. Pain exploded through her ankle. She tumbled, rolling, the world becoming a kaleidoscope of white and gray and sharp branches. Something stopped her. A snowbank, merciful and soft, and she lay there gasping. "Nina!" Kian's voice, close. He must have slid down after her. "I'm fine," she said automatically. "You're not fine. You're lying in a snowbank." "The snowbank is fine. Very comfortable. I live here now." Footsteps crunched toward her. Then Kian's face appeared above her, snow in his hair, concern creasing his brow. "Can you stand?" he asked. Nina tried. The moment she put weight on her right ankle, fire shot up her leg. "Nope," she said, dropping back down. "That's a no." "Sprain?" "Probably. Maybe a twist. I've had worse." She tried to push herself up. "Just give me a minute." "We don't have a minute." Kian was already moving, sliding his arms under her knees and behind her back. "The gala starts in 12 minutes. "Wait, what are you—" He lifted her. Just lifted her. Like she weighed nothing. Like carrying a 5'2" woman down a mountain was a completely normal thing to do on a Tuesday evening. "Put me down," Nina said. "No. I can walk. You can't. I can hop. We don't have time for hopping." Kian started moving, his stride long and steady despite the snow. "Just hold on and try not to kick me." Nina's face was approximately 3 inches from his neck. She could smell his cologne, something expensive, probably French, probably cost more than her monthly rent. She could feel the warmth of him through his coat, the steady rhythm of his breathing. This was mortifying. This was also, if she was being completely honest with herself, not entirely unpleasant. "No," she told herself firmly, "we are not doing this. He is carrying you because you are injured. This is practical. This is efficient. This is—" "You're very light," Kian said. "I'm 5'2". It comes with the territory." I expected more resistance. I'm saving my resistance for later, when I can actually stand. Something that might have been a smile flickered across his face. "Fair enough." Bun appeared beside them, trotting along with the satisfied air of someone who had survived a harrowing ordeal and was feeling very proud of himself. "In The Bodyguard," Bun announced, "Kevin Costner also carried Whitney Houston. It was very romantic. There was a song." "This is not romantic," Nina said quickly. "It's a little romantic," Bun said. "It's expedient," Kian said. "Expedient can be romantic. The proposal was basically a movie about expedient romance. Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds." "Bun," Nina warned. "I'm just making observations. I observe things. It's part of my skill set." His tail wagged. "Also, you're blushing." "I'm cold." "The blush is traveling down your neck." "That's not a cold blush. That's an embarrassment blush. I know the difference. I'm very perceptive." "You're very annoying." "Those aren't mutually exclusive." The resort appeared through the trees, lights blazing, music drifting, guests visible through the tall windows like figures in a snow globe. Kian picked up the pace. They burst through the staff entrance with 4 minutes to spare. Landon was waiting, practically vibrating with anxiety. His eyes went wide at the sight of Kian carrying Nina, Bun trotting behind them covered in snow and ice, all 3 of them looking like they'd just escaped an avalanche. "Don't ask," Nina said. "I wasn't going to," Landon said, though his expression clearly indicated he was going to ask many, many questions later. "Costumes are in the green room. You have 3 minutes." Kian set Nina down on a bench. Their eyes met for a moment, something passing between them that Nina didn't want to examine too closely. "I'll be right back," he said. He disappeared into the green room. Nina yanked off her snow-covered jacket and grabbed the Santa top from the costume rack. It was enormous on her, the jacket hanging to her knees, the arms extending well past her fingertips. She rolled the sleeves up, cinched the belt tight, and hoped for the best. The door opened. Kian emerged. In Santa pants. Red velvet Santa pants that hit mid-shin, revealing dark dress socks and very expensive shoes. Paired with his charcoal suit jacket and crisp white shirt. He looked like a businessman who had lost a bet. He looked ridiculous. Nina pressed her lips together. Hard. Don't, Kian warned. I didn't say anything. You were thinking it. I was thinking you look very festive. You were thinking I look like an idiot. Those aren't mutually exclusive. Bun collapsed onto the floor, wheezing with what could only be described as dog laughter. This is better than Elf. This is better than every Christmas movie ever made. I want this moment preserved forever. Is someone taking photos? Someone should be taking photos. The door swung open. Sam appeared, took one look at Kian, and froze. His face went through approximately 17 different expressions in 3 seconds. Shock, confusion, dawning recognition. Unholy glee. Don't, Kian said. Sam pressed a hand to his chest. I would never. You're already composing the email. I'm composing several emails, also a group text, possibly a newsletter. Sam pulled out his phone. Just one photo. Sam. For the company holiday card. Sam. Fine, fine. Sam pocketed the phone, but his grin remained firmly in place. The guests are seated. The pups are ready. Everyone is waiting for Santa. His eyes flicked to Nina, still adjusting her oversized jacket. And Mrs. Claus, apparently. It's a collaborative effort, Nina said. I can see that. Sam's grin somehow got wider. You two look very coordinated. We had limited options. Mm-hmm. Sam stepped aside, gesturing toward the gala room. After you, Mr. and Mrs. Claus? Kian muttered something under his breath that was definitely not appropriate for a children's event. Nina grabbed the Santa hat, shoved it on her head, and hobbled toward the door. Kian caught her arm. You can't walk on that ankle, he said. I can walk, I just can't walk well. Lean on me. I don't need lean on me. He slid an arm around her waist, taking her weight. We're already going to look insane. We might as well look insane together. Nina opened her mouth to argue, closed it, leaned. This is so romantic, Bun whispered to Sam as they followed. Are you seeing this? They're enemies to lovers. It's happening in real time. I see it, Sam whispered back. I'm already invested. Should we start a betting pool? Way ahead of you. The gala room had transformed. When Nina had left, it was half decorated and empty. Now it was full. Tables draped in white, candles flickering, the Christmas tree she'd decorated glittering in the corner. Guests in evening wear filled the space, champagne glasses catching the light. But the real magic was at the front. 12 pups, ages 5 to 12. All of them in wheelchairs or supported by parents. All of them with the telltale pallor and fragility of hollow moon syndrome. All of them staring at the stage with enormous, hopeful eyes. Nina's throat tightened. She'd done supply runs to the shelter. She'd helped with outdoor therapy. She knew these kids, knew their names, their favorite games, their dreams. She knew that most of them weren't supposed to live past 10. Ho, 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 she said, and her voice only cracked a little. The pups erupted. Cheers. Clapping. One little girl in the front row actually squealed. The sound cut through everything, the anxiety, the exhaustion, the throbbing in Nina's ankle, and left nothing but warmth. Santa! A boy shouted. Santa, you're really short. Santa comes in all sizes, Nina said, hobbling toward the stage with Kian's support. The North Pole is an equal opportunity employer. Why is your helper wearing fancy pants? He lost a bet. Kian shot her a look. She smiled sweetly back. They made it to the stage, Kian helping her up the steps, then standing awkwardly to the side in his ridiculous half-costume. The pups stared at them with the unfiltered judgment only children could muster. Santa, a girl in the front row said, your helper is really tall. He eats his vegetables, Nina said. He looks grumpy. The North Pole is stressful this time of year. Kian's jaw twitched. Nina pretended not to notice. She settled into the oversized chair that had been set up for Santa photos, her injured ankle propped discreetly on a footstool. One by one, the pups came forward, some walking with assistants, some in wheelchairs, all of them glowing with excitement. Nina listened to their wishes, posed for photos, told terrible jokes that made them giggle. And through it all, she was aware of Kian watching from the side of the stage, his expression unreadable. When the last pup had taken their photo, Kian stepped forward. The room fell quiet. "Thank you all for coming," he said. His voice carried easily, the voice of someone used to commanding attention. The Mercer Foundation is honored to host this event, and we have a special announcement. The pups leaned forward. The parents held their breath. "Tomorrow morning," Kian said, "each of you will receive a very special gift, a present that couldn't be delivered tonight, but will be worth the wait." Murmurs rippled through the room. "What is it?" a boy called out. Kian smiled. It transformed his face, softened the sharp edges, warmed the gray eyes. "That," he said, "is a surprise. But I promise you, when you open it, you're going to be very, very happy." The pups cheered, the parents clapped, and somewhere in the back of the room, influential investors exchanged intrigued glances. Kian caught Nina's eye. "We have until tomorrow," his look said. "We'll make it work," hers replied. The pups and their parents were ushered toward the party in the adjacent room. Hot chocolate, cookies, games designed for limited mobility. The gala space emptied, leaving only the investors, the council representatives, the people who mattered. Kian gathered them near the stage. "What you're about to hear," he said, "cannot leave this room." The investors leaned in. "The surprise I mentioned, it's not toys, it's not money." Kian paused. "It's a cure." Silence. Absolute silence. Hollow moon syndrome has been terminal since it was first identified. No treatment, no hope. Just... He stopped, swallowed. Just waiting. Nina watched him. The mask he usually wore had slipped, just slightly. Underneath was something raw. "My company has developed an experimental treatment," Kian continued. "It's been tested. It works. And tomorrow morning, those 12 children will receive the first doses. By Christmas Day, they'll be on the road to recovery." A woman in a gray suit, Councilwoman Vance, Nina remembered, pressed a hand to her mouth. "A miracle," someone whispered. "Medicine," Kian corrected. "Years of research, millions in funding, hundreds of scientists." He looked around the room. "But yes, for those 12 pups, it will feel like a miracle." Alpha Constantine stepped forward. He was massive, easily 7 feet tall, with silver hair and eyes that had seen too much. "We will stay," he said, "to witness." Kian's expression flickered. "That's not necessary." "It is necessary." Constantine's voice brooked no argument. "If what you say is true, this is history. We will stay." Other investors nodded, murmurs of agreement. "The treatment will be administered at 9 a.m., Kian said. "You're all welcome to attend." More nods, more murmurs. The investors began to disperse, heading toward the party, toward drinks, toward conversations about funding and partnerships and futures. Nina watched Kian's face. He was smiling, shaking hands, saying all the right things, but she saw the tension in his jaw, the tightness around his eyes, because the medicine wasn't here. The medicine was somewhere on that mountain, stolen by rogues, and they had exactly 12 hours to get it back. 12 hours until a promise became a lie. 12 hours until miracle became failure. Kian caught her watching. His smile didn't waver, but something in his eyes shifted. "We'll find it," she tried to project. His almost imperceptible nod said he understood her. Chapter 5. Kian had skied before. He liked snow, but he skied like a tourist. Groomed runs, hot chocolate breaks, instructors who pretended his form wasn't terrible. Hunting for stolen medicine on an unlit mountain trail at midnight was not what he'd planned for this trip. Gone was the postcard prettiness of the afternoon. In its place, shadows that moved wrong, wind that cut through every layer, and a darkness so complete that Nina's headlamp felt like a single match against an ocean of black. "For the record," Bun announced, his breath forming clouds that glowed in the lamplight, "I have calculated an acceptable speed for this expedition." "And that would be?" Kian asked. "0.7 miles per hour." Nina stopped walking. That's not even walking speed. Correct. That's a leisurely amble, a dignified stroll, a pace at which, if something goes wrong, I can simply sit down and contemplate my choices rather than tumbling into the abyss. Bun's nose twitched. Anything above 0.7 miles per hour is reckless endangerment of a canine professional. We'll freeze to death at 0.7 miles per hour. Then we'll freeze with dignity. Kian pinched the bridge of his nose. Can we negotiate? My terms are non-negotiable. Bun sat down in the snow, his massive bulk settling like a furry boulder. However, I am open to bribes. More salmon treats? Norwegian. Fine. And a heated blanket for the return journey. Done. And you carry me if there's any sliding involved. Kian stared at the 70-pound dog. Carry you. You carried Nina. I watched. You have the necessary upper body strength. Bun's tail wagged once. Those are my terms. Accept them, or I become a very adorable, very stationary obstacle. Nina bit back a laugh. Just agree, Kian. We don't have time for hostage negotiations with a St. Bernard. Fine. Kian gestured up the trail. Lead the way, at whatever pace keeps you from having a breakdown. 0.8 miles per hour, Bun said, heaving himself up. I've adjusted for the bribery. How generous. I'm a reasonable dog. They moved up the mining path in single file, headlamps cutting narrow tunnels through the darkness. The snow had stopped falling, leaving the world wrapped in crystalline silence. Every sound carried, the crunch of boots, the whisper of wind through bare branches, the distant groan of ice settling somewhere in the depths below. Kian noticed Nina favoring her left leg. She'd wrapped her ankle tight and hadn't complained once, but he could see the tension in her jaw with each step. Tomorrow she'd pay for it. Tonight, they both had 12 kids counting on them. The scent is getting stronger, Bun said after 20 minutes of climbing. His voice had dropped, professional now. Focused. They're close, maybe another quarter mile. How many? Kian asked. 5, like before. All wolf, all male. Bun's nose worked the air. They've been here for a while. I can smell cigarette smoke, cheap ones. Very tragic taste in tobacco. The trail curved around a massive outcropping of rock, and suddenly the darkness ahead wasn't quite so complete. Light, faint and flickering, coming from somewhere just beyond the next ridge. Nina killed her headlamp. Kian did the same. They crept forward, using the rocks as cover, until the source of the light came into view. An abandoned rail station. It sat in a natural hollow in the mountainside, half buried in snow and decades of neglect. The wooden platform was rotted in places, the roof sagging under accumulated ice. Ancient rail tracks emerged from a tunnel in the rock and ran along the platform before disappearing into the darkness on the far side. But someone had been here recently. Lanterns hung from the support beams, casting pools of amber light. A fire burned in a makeshift pit near the platform's edge, smoke curling up toward the stars. And scattered around the station, wrapped in heavy coats and nursing bottles that definitely weren't water, were 5 men. 5 very large, very alert wolves in human form. And behind them, sitting on the platform like the world's most valuable cargo, were 2 coolers. Big coolers, the size of a small coffin each, medical grade, judging by the biohazard symbols and temperature gauges blinking on the sides. The medicine. There, Bun breathed. That's it. That's the refrigerant signature I tracked earlier. Kian studied the scene. The guards were positioned at the 4 corners of the platform, with 1 more by the fire. All of them armed. He could see the glint of metal at their hips, all of them watchful. 5 against 1, Kian murmured. I've had worse odds. You're not fighting them. I can take 5 in human form? With fists? Nina turned to look at him, her expression flat. Or were you planning to shift? Kian's jaw tightened. That's what I thought. Nina shook her head. You shift, you tear your clothes, you fight, you get bruised. Either way, you show up tomorrow morning looking like you went 3 rounds with a bear, and every investor in that room starts asking questions. I can handle questions. You can't handle explaining why the pharmaceutical billionaire has a black eye and claw marks when he's supposed to be administering miracle medicine to dying children. Nina crossed her arms. We do this my way. And what is your way? Nina smiled. It was not a comforting smile. She leaned close and whispered something to Bun. The dog's eyes went wide, then wider. Then he started nodding with an enthusiasm that made Kian deeply nervous. What? Kian started. Just follow my lead. Nina was already moving, circling toward the far side of the station. And stay hidden until I signal. What signal? You'll know. She disappeared into the shadows. Kian looked at Bun. Bun looked at Kian. Do you know what's happening? Kian asked. I know exactly what's happening. Bun's tail wagged once, and it's going to be magnificent. Before Kian could demand an explanation, Bun crept toward the edge of the tree line and positioned himself behind a snow-covered boulder. Then the St. Bernard began his performance. First came the scratching, soft at first, like claws on wood, then louder, more insistent. One of the guards looked up from the fire. You hear that? Hear what? That scratching, like something's... Bun howled. The sound ripped through the night, bouncing off the rocks, seeming to come from multiple directions at once. The hair on Kian's arm stood up. One of the guards dropped his bottle. Another reached for his weapon. What the hell was that? Probably just a wolf. That wasn't a wolf. That was... Bun stepped out of the shadows. Kian's breath caught. The dog moved slowly, deliberately. His white fur seemed to glow in the lantern light, his massive form emerging from the darkness like something from a nightmare. Snow clung to his coat like frost on a corpse. And his eyes, Kian didn't know how he did it, but somehow Bun made his eyes look wrong, empty, like something else was looking out from behind them. Who disturbs my rest? Bun intoned. His voice had dropped 2 octaves. It resonated in the hollow, seeming to come from the mountain itself. One of the guards screamed. Actually screamed. Ghost dog! He scrambled backward, knocking over a lantern. It's the ghost dog from the mining accident. There was no dog in the mining accident, you idiot! I have waited 60 years, Bun continued, advancing slowly. 60 years in the darkness. 60 years of hunger. And now, I feast. He opened his mouth. His teeth gleamed in the firelight. 3 of the guards broke and ran, disappearing into the tunnel on the far side of the station. The remaining 2 backed toward the platform, weapons drawn but shaking. It's just a dog, one of them said. His voice cracked. It's just a really big, really creepy dog. I am no mere dog. Bun's voice dropped even lower. I am the guardian of this mountain, the keeper of the lost, and you have trespassed. The second guard whimpered. A hand touched Kian's shoulder. He spun and found Nina beside him, having materialized from nowhere. Maintenance access, she breathed, pointing. North side, go! They slipped around the station's perimeter while Bun continued his performance. The storage room was exactly where Nina had described. A small chamber off the main platform, used for equipment and supplies back when the rail line was operational. The door was metal, the lock rusted but functional. Perfect for temporary imprisonment. Return what you have stolen, Bun thundered from outside, or face the consequences. We didn't steal anything, one guard protested. We were hired. We're just doing a job. The mountain sees all. The mountain knows all. The mountain is very disappointed in your life choices. Oh God, it's judging us. Nina crept forward. The guards had backed onto the platform now, their attention fixed entirely on the spectral nightmare that was Bun. They didn't see Nina approach from behind. They didn't see Kian circle to flank them. They didn't see anything until it was too late. Nina moved first, grabbing a length of rope from the platform and looping it around the nearest guard's ankles. He went down with a yelp. Kian was on the second one before he could turn, arm locked around his throat in a sleeper hold. 10 seconds. Both guards unconscious. That was efficient, Bun observed, dropping the ghost voice. Very mission, impossible, I approve. The 3 guards who'd fled into the tunnel were already gone, probably halfway down the mountain by now, convinced they'd narrowly escaped being devoured by a supernatural St. Bernard. Nina and Kian dragged the unconscious guards into the storage room and secured the door. We'll call the police on the way down, Nina said, dusting off her hands. They can pick these two up. The others will run back to whoever hired them. Kian's expression was grim. I know exactly which pack is behind this. We'll deal with them through proper channels. Pack jail? Bun asked hopefully. Will they face wolf justice? I want them to face wolf justice. Human jail is too comfortable. They get meals, recreation time, educational programming. They can just... He made a vague gesture with his paw. Woof themselves out, or eat their jailmates for breakfast. Nina stared at him. Bun, you watch too much TV? Television is educational. I'm a well-informed canine citizen. They'll face appropriate consequences, Kian said. That's not a yes. It's not a no either. Bun considered this. I'll accept that, but I want updates, regular updates. I'm emotionally invested now. Nina was already moving toward the coolers. Let's just get the medicine and... A grinding sound cut through the night. Metal on metal, ancient machinery groaning to life. Kian's head snapped toward the tunnel. The rail tracks were moving. Not the tracks themselves, but something on them. A mining cart, rusted and ancient, sitting on the tracks near the tunnel entrance. And on that cart, hastily loaded by the fleeing guards, were the two medical coolers. They put the medicine on the cart, Kian breathed. They were planning to transport it further down the line. The cart lurched. Then it began to roll. Slowly at first, then faster. Gravity taking hold as it hit the downward grade, picking up speed as it rattled toward the darkness of the far tunnel. No! Kian lunged for it. Too late. The cart was already 10 feet away, 15, 20, disappearing into the tunnel with the screech of metal on metal. The track, Nina said, her voice tight. It's the old eastern route. It was supposed to connect to the lower station, but they never finished construction. The rail just ends. Ends where? Ends at a cliff face, about a quarter-mile down. She met his eyes. If that cart hits the end of the line at full speed, it's going over, medicine included. Kian's blood turned to ice. For 1 second, nobody moved. Then Nina spotted the motorcycles. 3 of them, parked at the edge of the platform. The guards' transportation. Big, powerful machines built for mountain terrain. She grabbed the nearest set of keys from the unconscious guard's pocket and ran. Nina, your ankle. No time. She swung onto the bike, kicked the engine to life. It roared beneath her, vibrating with barely contained power. The cart's on the eastern track. There's a service road that runs parallel. I can intercept. I'm coming with you. You're too heavy, Bun. The bike won't handle both of us on that terrain. Nina revved the engine. Find another way down. I'll slow the cart. How? Kian asked. I'll figure it out. She was gone before he could argue, the motorcycle's headlight cutting through the darkness as she shot off the platform and onto the mountain path. Kian stood frozen for half a second. Then he looked around the platform. His eyes landed on a flat metal panel, probably part of an old maintenance sled designed for workers to ride down the tracks to check the line. It was rusted, dented, and looked like it hadn't been used in decades. But it was shaped almost like a snowboard. Kian grabbed it. Oh, no. Bun backed away. No, no, no. I see what you're thinking. I refuse. I absolutely refuse. You said you'd bill me for emotional damages anyway. That was theoretical. That was future hypothetical damages. This is present actual terror. Bun! Kian knelt down to the dog's level. Those pups need that medicine. Nina's going to try to stop the cart, but she can't do it alone. I need to get down that mountain faster than the cart can fall. Then ski by yourself. I'll wait here, very patiently, with dignity. I need you to help me steer. You can read the terrain better than I can. Your nose, your instincts. Kian put a hand on Bun's shoulder. I need my tracker. Bun's eyes were wide. His whole body trembled. But somewhere beneath the terror, something else flickered. Pride. You called me your tracker, Bun said quietly. I did. That implies ownership, partnership, a professional relationship. It does. Bun swallowed hard. His tail gave one tiny wag. Fine, he said, but I want it in writing. A contract. With salary negotiations. Done. Kian grabbed the panel and positioned it at the top of the slope. The angle was steep, maybe 40 degrees, cutting through trees and rocks toward the distant glow of the lower station. "Get on," he said. Bun climbed onto the panel behind Kian, his massive paws gripping the edges, his body pressed against Kian's back. "I hate this," Bun announced. "I know. I hate everything about this. I know. If I die, tell Nina I loved her, and that I forgive her for making me slide down hills on my buttocks." "You can tell her yourself." Kian pushed off. The world became a blur. The scream started immediately. A wind tore at Kian's face. Trees whipped past on either side. The panel bounced over hidden rocks, caught air on ridges, careened around corners in ways that definitely violated several laws of physics. "Left!" Bun shrieked. "Left! Left! Left!" Kian threw his weight left. The panel carved a hard turn, missing a boulder by inches. "Right! Tree! Tree!" Another turn. Bark scraped against the panel's edge. "I see my life flashing before my eyes again," Bun wailed. "It's still mostly kibble, but now there's also trauma. So much trauma." "Focus on the terrain." "I can't focus. I'm experiencing an out-of-body experience. I'm watching this from above. I look very heroic and also very stupid." Below them, through the trees, Kian could see the parallel flash of a motorcycle headlight. Nina keeping pace with the runaway cart, looking for an opportunity to intervene. And ahead, the tracks, the cart, a dark shape hurtling through the night. They were gaining. "There!" Bun somehow managed to point with his nose despite the velocity. "The cart is slowing. The track curves ahead. If we cut through the clearing." Kian aimed for the clearing. The panel shot off a natural ramp and became briefly, terrifyingly airborne. "This was not in the contract," Bun screamed. "Flying was not discussed." "I did not agree to flying." They landed hard. The panel cracked, but held. And suddenly they were parallel to the cart, separated only by 50 feet of rocky terrain. Nina appeared on the other side, her motorcycle roaring as she pulled alongside. The track ahead curved sharply, and beyond the curve, nothing. Just darkness, just the cliff face where the unfinished rail line ended. "We have to stop it before the curve," Nina shouted over the wind. "How?" "The brake mechanism. On the cart's undercarriage. If we can jam something into the gears." Kian looked at the panel beneath him. Metal. Sturdy enough to survive the descent. Sturdy enough to jam a brake. "Bun," he said, "I need to get onto that cart." "What?" "I'm going to jump. You take the panel." "I can't steer this thing by myself. I don't have thumbs." "You have instincts. You have training." Kian shifted his weight, preparing to leap. "You're a professional." "I'm a terrified professional. There's a difference." "Just keep it straight. Dig your claws in to slow down." "You've got this." "I don't got this. I have never in my life got this. This is the opposite of having this." Kian jumped. For one eternal moment, he was suspended in midair. The cart below him, the mountain rushing past, the stars wheeling overhead. Then he landed. The impact drove the breath from his lungs. His hands grabbed the cart's edge, fingers scraping against rusted metal. For a terrifying second he slid, the cart's momentum threatening to throw him off. He held. He pulled himself up. The coolers were strapped to the cart's floor, temperature gauges still blinking green. The medicine was intact, for now. The curve was approaching fast. Kian scrambled to the undercarriage. The brake mechanism was ancient, a simple lever system designed to press against the wheels. Rusted solid. He grabbed the panel that had been strapped to his back. He'd managed to keep hold of it during the jump, and jammed it into the gears. Metal screamed. Sparks flew. The cart shuddered, slowed, but not enough. The curve was 20 feet away, Afton 10. "Kian!" Nina's voice somewhere to his right, and then from behind. A sound that would haunt Kian's nightmares for years. Bun's battle cry. It was half scream, half howl, half something that had never been heard before in the history of the world. It was the sound of a 70-pound St. Bernard puppy facing his deepest fears and choosing violence. Chapter 6. Boxing Day. Morning dawned clear and cold, sunlight streaming through the medical wing's tall windows like the universe had decided to cooperate for once. Kian stood at the back of the room watching 12 pups receive the gift of a lifetime. The scene was chaos, the best kind. Parents crying, children laughing. Medical staff moving between beds with calm efficiency, administering doses from the coolers that had nearly gone over a cliff 12 hours ago. "This one tingles," a boy announced, staring at the IV in his arm with deep suspicion. "Is it supposed to tingle?" "That's the medicine working," the nurse said. "It feels like my arm is full of bees." Happy bees. Healing bees. Bees don't heal. Bees sting. I saw a documentary. Kian's chest tightened. He'd spent 6 years developing this treatment. Countless trials, endless setbacks, moments when he'd been certain it would never work. And now, here it was. Working. A little girl in the corner, Maya, according to her chart, caught his eye. She was maybe 7, with dark curls and eyes too old for her face. The kind of eyes that came from spending too many years in hospitals, watching adults whisper things they thought she couldn't hear. She waved at him. Kian waved back. "You're the Santa Pants man," Maya said. Yes, that's me. You looked funny. I'm aware. But you also looked nice." She tilted her head. "Santa doesn't usually have sad eyes, but you do. Why are you sad?" Kian opened his mouth, closed it. How did children do that? Cut straight through every defense like they had X-ray vision for emotional damage? "I'm not sad," he said. "I'm tired. Tired and sad look the same on grown-ups." Maya turned back to her IV. "My mom looks like that a lot, but she smiles more now, because of the medicine." She pointed at the cooler. "You brought that, right? The Christmas present?" "I helped," Kian said. "Then thank you." Maya smiled, a real smile, the kind that reached her too old eyes. "I'm going to get better now. I can tell." Kian's throat closed up. "You're welcome," he managed. He turned away before she could see his face do something unprofessional. Sam was waiting by the door, tablet in hand, looking entirely too pleased with himself for 8 in the morning. "Investors are thrilled," Sam said. "Thornwood Foundation wants to double their commitment. Alpha Constantine is talking about funding a satellite clinic in Northern Ridge. And Councilwoman Vance," he glanced at his tablet, "has used the word miraculous 4 times in her preliminary report." "Good. Good? That's all you have to say?" Sam stared at him. "We just secured enough funding to treat 500 more pups. You should be doing a victory lap. Champagne, confetti, possibly a tasteful press release. I'll celebrate when the treatment is complete. You'll celebrate when you're dead and your ghost finally admits it was a good day." Sam tucked the tablet under his arm. "Speaking of celebrations, where's your partner in crime?" "My what?" "Nina, the tiny tornado who saved your entire operation." Sam's grin turned knowing. "I haven't seen her since the event last night." Kian's jaw tightened. "She's probably resting. Her ankle is fine. I saw her walking on it this morning." Sam's eyes narrowed. "What happened?" "Nothing." "That's your something definitely happened voice." "I don't have a something definitely happened voice." "You absolutely do. It's slightly higher than your normal voice, and you won't make eye contact." Sam stepped closer. "Kian, what happened?" Before Kian could formulate a lie, a commotion erupted from the corner of the room. Bun had arrived. The St. Bernard bounded through the door with the energy of a dog who had survived multiple near-death experiences and was riding the high of survival. His tail wagged so hard his entire back end wiggled. A red bow had been tied around his neck, someone's idea of festive, presumably. "Children," Bun announced, "your hero has arrived." The pups erupted. Suddenly, every child who could move was reaching for him, hands grabbing at his fur, voices overlapping in a cacophony of excitement. Bun moved between the beds like a furry celebrity, accepting pets and adoration with the grace of a seasoned performer. Yes, I am very soft. Thank you for noticing. My coat is naturally lustrous. I use no products." "Can you do tricks?" a boy asked. "I do not do tricks. Tricks are for dogs without dignity." Bun sat down with great ceremony. "I do performances. There's a difference." "What's the difference?" "Performances are paid. Speaking of which..." He turned to look at Kian. I'm still waiting on that plaque. Sam made a choked sound. Did the dog just... Yes. He talks? Loudly and frequently. And you didn't think to mention this? It didn't come up. Sam stared at Bun, then at Kian, then back at Bun. His expression shifted through approximately 12 different emotions before settling on delighted disbelief. I need to hire that dog, he said. What? For the expansion. We're opening a regional office up here, remember? We need local talent. Someone who knows the mountain. Sam's business brain was visibly spinning. A tracking specialist, search and rescue consultant, possibly a mascot. He's not a mascot, he's a... Kian gestured vaguely. Professional. Even better, professionals are tax-deductible. Sam strode toward Bun with the purposeful energy of a man about to make an offer. Bun, he said, a moment of your time. Bun looked up from the gaggle of children surrounding him. Are you the beta, the one who makes the money decisions? I'm the CFO. Same thing, different title. Excellent. I've been meaning to discuss compensation. The salmon treats are appreciated, but they don't cover my actual expenses. I have emotional needs, therapeutic requirements, a preferred brand of kibble that costs significantly more than the grocery store variety. I'm prepared to offer you a full-time position. Sam crouched to Bun's level. Mercer Pharmaceuticals is expanding into the Alpine region. We need a tracking specialist, someone who knows these mountains, can lead search parties, locate lost deliveries, that sort of thing. Bun's ears perked up. A position? Salaried, with benefits, including... Sam paused for effect. A lifetime supply of Norwegian salmon treats. The expensive kind? The most expensive kind. Bun's tail began to wag. And a heated bed. Whatever heated bed you want. Multiple heated beds. A heated room, if you prefer. And Bun's voice dropped to a whisper. The plaque? Bronze. Lobby of the new regional office. Bun. Hero of the mountain. With a portrait commissioned by a real artist. Bun turned to look at Kian. His eyes were shining. He's serious, Bun said. He's actually serious. This isn't a joke. This is a real job offer. With benefits. And a plaque. He's serious, Kian confirmed. I would have a career. A title. Business cards. Bun's whole body vibrated with excitement. I could put Director of Mountain Operations on my LinkedIn profile. Do dogs have LinkedIn? I should get LinkedIn. This is very professional, very corporate, very... He stopped. His tail stopped wagging. Wait, Bun said. I have to ask Nina. She's my human. I don't make major life decisions without consulting my human. Sam glanced at Kian. Where is Nina? The question landed like a stone in still water. Kian realized, with a sudden cold clarity, that he hadn't seen Nina since last night, after the medicine was secured, after the chaos settled, after she'd smiled at him with snow in her hair and tears on her cheeks. She'd said something about checking on her ankle, about getting some rest. He hadn't seen her since. I'll find her, Kian said. He was already moving toward the door. Nina's staff quarters were empty. Not just empty, cleared out. The bed stripped, the closet bare, no jacket on the hook, no boots by the door, no evidence that anyone had lived here at all, except for one thing. A note, folded neatly on the pillow. And beside it, curled in a ball of misery, was Bun. The dog must have followed him, must have run ahead, somehow sensing where to go. Now he lay on the bare mattress, his massive body deflated, his eyes fixed on the note like it had personally betrayed him. She's gone, Bun said. His voice was hollow. She left. Kian picked up the note. The handwriting was neat, practical. Like everything else about Nina. Kian, by the time you read this, I'll be on the road. Don't worry, my ankle's fine. I've had worse. I wanted to thank you for last night. The pups are going to be okay, and that matters more than anything else. But I need you to understand something. Nothing happened with the mate claim. Your wolf called to mine. Except I don't have a wolf. I haven't had one since I was 19. Long story, not relevant. The point is, there's nothing for your bond to connect to. Whatever you felt, whatever your wolf felt, it was one-sided. It always will be. I'm sorry if that's not what you wanted to hear, but it's the truth. I also left Bun. Before you argue, this is the right call. The company offer is good, better than good. Bun deserves a real home, a real job, a life that doesn't involve sleeping in the back of a dead Subaru and eating discount kibble. My life is nomad, always moving, never staying. That's not fair to him. He's going to be sad, he's going to cry, just be patient with him. He's dramatic, but he's also the best dog I've ever known. Tell him I love him. Tell him this is for the best. And Kian, don't come after me. There's no point. Some bonds just aren't meant to be. Nina Kian read the note twice, then a third time. His wolf stirred beneath the suppressant, a low growl that vibrated through his bones. She said I deserve better, Bun whispered. She said her life isn't good enough for me. Like I care about heated beds and salmon treats more than her. His voice cracked. I would sleep in snow. I would eat garbage. I would do anything if it meant staying with her. A tear rolled down the dog's muzzle. An actual tear. She's my human, Bun said. She found me when I was a puppy, when no one else wanted me because I was scared of everything. She said being scared was okay. She said brave wasn't about not being scared. It was about being scared and doing it anyway. He lifted his head. Last night, on that mountain, I was brave. For her, because of her. And now she's just gone? Kian stared at the note in his hands. Don't come after me, there's no point. His wolf disagreed, violently. Footsteps in the hallway. Sam appeared in the doorway, took in the scene. The empty room, the crying dog, Kian holding a note like it was a live grenade. What happened? Sam asked. She left. Left as in gone. Packed her things and disappeared. Kian thrust the note at Sam. Read it. Sam scanned the page. His expression shifted from confusion to understanding to something that looked suspiciously like pity. She doesn't have a wolf, Sam said slowly, and she thinks that means the bond can't work. Apparently. And you're just going to accept that? Kian didn't answer. Kian, Sam's voice sharpened. Your wolf claimed her. I saw the biometrics. That spike wasn't a glitch. It was a full mate recognition. The kind that happens once in a lifetime. The kind that doesn't go away. I know. So what are you going to do about it? Kian looked at the suppressant on his wrist. The cool metal band that had kept his wolf contained for 15 years. The technology he'd helped design, specifically so he could delay mating until the optimal age indicated by their research. 40. That was the number. The studies showed wolves who mated after 40 had more stable bonds, fewer complications, better outcomes. He was 35. 5 years early. The research, he started. Oh, don't give me the research. Sam's patience finally snapped. I've read the research. I helped fund the research. Optimal mating age, blah, blah, blah. Statistical significance, blah, blah, blah. You know what the research doesn't account for? What? Actually finding your mate. Sam stepped closer. You've been using that suppressant for 15 years, keeping yourself unmated until the magic number. And that made sense when it was theoretical, when you hadn't met anyone who made your wolf want to claw out of your chest. Sam, but you have met someone. She exists. She's real. And she's currently driving away from you because she thinks the bond is impossible. Sam threw his hands up. Who cares if it's not optimal? Who cares if you're 5 years early? The alternative is, what? Waiting until you're 40 and hoping you meet someone else who makes you feel like this. It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. Sam's voice softened. You're my best friend, and you're also an idiot. A brilliant, stubborn, emotionally constipated idiot who would rather follow a spreadsheet than follow his heart. That's not... Nina is out there right now, convinced that she's doing the right thing by leaving, convinced that you're better off without her, convinced that a bond with her is impossible because she doesn't have a wolf. Sam grabbed Kian's shoulders. Mate bonds aren't about wolves, you moron. They're about souls. The wolf just recognizes what the heart already knows. Kian stared at him. She fits you, Sam said. I've known you for 15 years, and I've never seen you laugh like you did last night. Never seen you look at anyone the way you look at her. Never seen you wear Santa pants for anyone. He shook his head. That woman climbed a mountain on a sprained ankle to save your medicine. She let a dog pretend to be a ghost to scare off armed guards. She is insane in exactly the way you need, and you're standing here telling me about optimal mating windows? The suppressant. Take it off. What? Take it off. Sam's eyes blazed. You've been hiding behind that watch for 15 years. Using it as an excuse not to feel anything, not to connect with anyone, not to risk getting hurt. And maybe that made sense before. But right now the woman your wolf recognized as mate is driving away, and you're standing here calculating statistics. Kian looked at the suppressant band, then at Bun, still crying on the bare mattress, then at the note in his hand. Don't come after me, there's no point. His wolf howled, and for the first time in 15 years, Kian listened. He grabbed the suppressant and yanked. The band came free with a soft click. Cool air hit his wrist where the metal had pressed for so long. And then, everything. The wolf surged forward like a dam breaking. Scent flooded his senses. Nina, everywhere, the ghost of her presence still lingering in this room. His vision sharpened, his hearing expanded. Every nerve ending came alive with a single, overwhelming imperative. Find her. Finally, Sam muttered. Took you long enough. Kian was already moving. Wait! Bun scrambled off the bed, nearly tripping over his own paws. I'm coming with you. You can't keep up. I don't care. She's my human. I'm not losing her again. Bun's jaw set with determination. I'll run until my legs fall off. I'll track her scent to the ends of the earth. Kian scooped the 70-pound dog into his arms without breaking stride. Or you could carry me, Bun finished. That also works. Sam called after them. Bring her back, and for God's sake, tell her how you feel. Use actual words. Kian hit the door at full speed, Bun bouncing in his arms, his wolf singing in his blood for the first time in 15 years. The mountain stretched out before them, vast and white and full of possibility. Somewhere out there, Nina was running. Time to catch her. Chapter 7. Nina had always been good at leaving. She'd left her pack at 19. Left a dozen towns since then. Left jobs and friends and anything that threatened to become permanent, because permanent meant roots, and roots meant staying, and staying meant watching everything you loved wither and die. Like her mother. Like her wolf. The overlook was quiet this morning. The resort sprawled below, smoke rising from chimneys, Christmas lights still twinkling in the gray dawn. Somewhere down there, 12 pups were waking up to their first day of real hope. That was enough, Nina told herself. She'd helped. She'd made a difference. Now it was time to go. The road was waiting. Another town, another mountain, another season of pretending that the hollow space inside her chest was just fine. Thank you. Perfectly manageable, not worth mentioning. Her bag sat beside her, packed and ready. She didn't move. Just go, she told herself. You've done this before. You know how it works. Clean break, no looking back. But her legs wouldn't cooperate. Her hands stayed folded in her lap, and her eyes kept drifting back toward the resort, toward a room where a billionaire in Santa pants had laughed until he cried, toward a dog who had faced his fears for her, toward a man whose wolf had looked at her and said, Mate. Nina squeezed her eyes shut. It didn't mean anything. It couldn't mean anything. She'd made sure of that 6 years ago, when she'd walked into a witch's cottage with a heart full of grief and asked for the one thing that couldn't be undone. Sever me, she'd said. I don't want to feel this anymore. And the witch had looked at her with ancient, knowing eyes and said, This is permanent. Your wolf will be gone. Not sleeping, not suppressed, gone. You will never shift again. You will never feel the bond again. You will be, in every way that matters, human. Good, Nina had said. She'd meant it then. She wasn't sure she meant it now. A sound broke through her thoughts. Footsteps, fast, crunching through snow with desperate urgency. And then, Nina! 70 pounds of St. Bernard hit her like a furry cannonball. Nina went backward off the log, landing in a snowdrift with Bun on top of her, his massive paws on her shoulders, his wet nose pressed against her face. You left me! His voice cracked in a way that shattered something in Nina's chest. You left a note. Who leaves a note? That's what people do in sad movies. This isn't a sad movie, Nina. This is our movie. We're the main characters. Main characters don't get separated by notes. Bun, I explained. You explained nothing. He was shaking, his whole body trembling against hers. "You said I deserve better." "Better than what? Better than the person who found me when I was a scared puppy nobody wanted? Better than the person who carried me through thunderstorms and never complained when I drooled on her pillow?" Nina's eyes burned. "I was trying to protect you," she whispered. "I don't want protection." Bun pulled back, and there were actual tears rolling down his furry face. "I want you. I want sleeping in the back of the terrible Subaru. I want discount kibble. I want every scary mountain and every stupid slide and every single moment of our ridiculous life together. Bun, there is no better, Nina." He pressed his forehead against hers. "You're my human. You're the only human. I would follow you anywhere. I would give up every salmon tree to Norway. I would—" "Okay." The word came out strangled. "Okay, Bun. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." She wrapped her arms around his massive neck and held on. He melted into her, still shaking, still crying, still the most dramatic dog in the history of the world. And Nina loved him so much it hurt. Footsteps, closer now. She looked up. Kian stood at the edge of the clearing. He looked like he'd run the entire way, hair disheveled, coat askew, breath coming hard. But that wasn't what made Nina's heart stutter. It was his wrist. Bare. The suppressant was gone, and his eyes, gray was bleeding into gold. Not fully shifted, but close, his wolf looking out from behind his human face, focused on her with an intensity that made her skin prickle. "You took it off," she said. "I did." Nina scrambled to her feet, dislodging Bun, who sat in the snow looking deeply offended by the interruption. "I spent 15 years hiding." He moved toward her, each step deliberate, certain. Telling myself I was being smart, strategic, waiting for the right time, the right match, the right statistical probability of success. "That's not hiding. That's being responsible. That's being terrified." He stopped in front of her, close enough that she could see the gold threads in his irises, bright and burning. "I was so scared of losing control that I never let myself feel anything real. And then you crashed into me with a bag full of Christmas ornaments, and your ridiculous dog called me a phone accessory, and suddenly—" He broke off, swallowed hard. "Suddenly," he said quietly, "I felt something. For the first time in 15 years, and it scared the hell out of me." Nina shook her head. "It doesn't matter what you feel. I don't have— I know about your wolf." She froze. "I read between the lines of your note," Kian said. And Sam filled in the gaps. "You lost your mother to hollow moon syndrome, the same disease I've been trying to cure. And when she died, you couldn't bear to stay in a world that reminded you of her. So you left." Nina's throat closed up. "But leaving the pack wasn't enough," Kian continued. "The grief followed you. The memories followed you. So you went to a witch and asked for the one thing that would make it stop." He didn't ask for permission. He pulled her into his arms. "Because it's what I would have done." His voice was rough. "If I'd lost everyone I loved, if the pain was unbearable, if the only way to survive was to cut out the part of myself that hurt. You didn't lose your wolf, Nina. You sacrificed her to save yourself." The tears came before she could stop them. "You're exactly what I want." He cupped her face in both hands, forcing her to meet his eyes. Gold and gray swirling together, human and wolf, unified in purpose. "I don't care if you can't shift. I don't care if you can't feel the bond the way I do. I care that you're brave and stubborn and kind, and that you climbed a mountain on a sprained ankle to save children you'd never met. Kian, I care that you love a dog so much you were willing to break your own heart to give him a better life. I care that you let your dog terrify grown wolves into running for their lives. I care that you threw Christmas ornaments at me and didn't apologize." Despite everything, Nina laughed. It came out wet and broken, but it was real. "You were standing in a staff-only zone," she said. "I was." His thumbs traced her cheekbones, wiping away tears. "And you knocked me on my ass, literally and metaphorically, and I haven't been able to think straight since." "This is insane. You barely know me." "I know enough." His forehead touched hers. "I know you're scared. I know you've been running for 6 years because staying meant risking loss, but I'm asking you to stop. Stay. Take a chance on something that might hurt, because it might also be incredible." Nina's heart hammered. What about your pack? She asked. You're an alpha. Your mate is supposed to be... My mate is supposed to be whoever I choose. But tradition can adapt or die. Kian's voice hardened. I run the Mercer pack. Not the other way around. If they can't accept that my mate doesn't have a wolf, they can find another alpha. He pulled back, looking at her with an intensity that made her bones ache. The pack isn't my family, Nina. It's a responsibility, a duty. But you... He paused, took a breath. You could be my family, if you'd let me. Nina stared at him. This man who had flown 2,000 miles to personally deliver medicine to sick children, who had worn Santa pants in front of 200 investors without complaint, who had jumped onto a runaway cart to save 12 kids he'd never met, who was looking at her now like she was the answer to a question he hadn't known he was asking. I don't want a real mate. I want you. Kian's jaw set. Broken, whole, wolf, no wolf, I don't care. I want the woman who charges down mountains on motorcycles, who comforts scared dogs, who cries over her mother's charm and laughs in the face of danger. That's a lot of wants. I'm a greedy man. His lips twitched. Comes with being a billionaire. Nina laughed again, stronger this time. You're ridiculous, she said. And yet you're still here. She was. She hadn't run. She hadn't pushed him away. For the first time in 6 years, she wasn't sure she wanted to. She realized she wasn't scared anymore. For the first time in 6 years, she was exactly where she was supposed to be. Home, safe and sound, with a billionaire who wore Santa's pants. And that's Claimed by Hope, written by Diane Leo, narrated by Jessica Lee. Thank you for spending this time with us. If Bun made you laugh, if his ghost performance haunts you in the best way, if you'll never hear the words 0.7 miles per hour without smiling, welcome to the club. That dog has taken up permanent residence in my heart, and I suspect he's moved into yours too. If Nina made you cheer, if Kian and Santa Pants made your heart do things it shouldn't, if you now believe that brave isn't about not being scared, but about being scared and doing it anyway, let me know in the comments. I read every single one. Don't forget the bonus epilogue, Bun's first official rescue mission as Director of Mountain Operations. There's a tiny orange kitten named Mango, a dramatic monologue about trauma and retirement plans, and proof that our favorite St. Bernard is just getting started. Link in the description and pinned in the first comment. If you want more shifter romances with heart, humor, and animal sidekicks who scream their way through heroic moments, like and subscribe so you never miss a story. And share with a friend who needs a billionaire alpha and a 70-pound drama king in their life. The entire collection lives at happynovels.com. Come find your next favorite. I'm Diane Leo. Thank you for listening. Until next time, stay brave, stay hopeful, and remember, even if your life is mostly kibble, there's always room for a little heroism.